In the opulent halls of a sprawling mansion overlooking the glittering city skyline, billionaire tech mogul Alexander Hale stood frozen, his coffee cup slipping from his grasp and shattering on the marble floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot, but he didn't flinch. His eyes were locked on the simple, worn silver ring glinting on the finger of his new maid, Elena, as she bent to clean the spill. That ring, scratched, faded, with a tiny engraved heart, he knew it. 20 years ago, in the dim orphanage where hope was as scarce as food, he'd slipped an identical one onto a little girl's hand, whispering, "I'll come back and marry you." The vow he'd buried under layers of success now rushed back like a tidal wave, drowning him in regret and rediscovered love. What if fate had brought her back to him? Stick around, because this tale of forgotten promises and second chances will tug at your heartstrings, and if it moves you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us love never truly fades. Alexander's life hadn't always been one of luxury yachts and boardroom triumphs. Born into poverty, orphaned at 5 when a car accident claimed his parents, he was shuttled into St. Mary's orphanage in the gritty underbelly of New York. The place was a fortress of faded dreams, peeling paint on the walls, bunk beds crammed with kids who learned early that survival meant guarding your heart. But amid the chaos, there was Lila, no, Elena now, he realized with a jolt. Back then, she was Lila Moreno, a wide-eyed 7-year-old with raven hair and a smile that could light up the darkest nights. Her parents had perished in a factory fire, leaving her with nothing but a fierce spirit and a knack for storytelling that made the other orphans forget their hunger for a while. They met on a rainy afternoon in the orphanage's tiny library, a room with more dust than books. Alexander, or Alex as he was called then, was huddled over a tattered copy of The Count of Monte Cristo, dreaming of escape and revenge on a world that had wronged him. Lila plopped down beside him, her dress patched and too small. "What's that about?" she asked, her voice like a melody in the storm outside. "It's about a guy who gets betrayed but comes back rich and powerful," Alex replied, not looking up. "Sounds like you," she teased, poking his arm. From that moment, they were inseparable. In a place where attachments were dangerous, kids came and went like shadows, they became each other's anchor. They'd sneak into the kitchen for stolen apples, whisper secrets under threadbare blankets, and dream of a future beyond the iron gates. One crisp autumn day, when Alex was 10 and Lila 8, the orphanage hosted a rare visitor, a wealthy benefactor handing out trinkets. Among the cheap toys, Alex spotted 2 matching silver rings in a bargain bin, simple bands with engraved hearts, probably meant for friendship bracelets. He pocketed them, his heart pounding. That night, under the stars in the overgrown courtyard, he took Lila's hand. "Someday, I'll get out of here," he vowed, his voice trembling. "I'll make millions, build a big house, and come back for you. We'll get married, have a family, and never be alone again." He slid the ring onto her finger, she did the same for him. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she nodded. "Promise?" she whispered. "I promise," he said, sealing it with a pinky swear. But promises are fragile in the face of life's storms. Weeks later, a kind couple adopted Alex. The Harringtons saw potential in the bright, determined boy and whisked him away to a life of private schools and opportunities. Lila waved goodbye from the orphanage steps, her ring catching the sunlight like a beacon. "Don't forget me," she called. "Never," he shouted back from the car window. The years blurred into a whirlwind. Alex excelled in school, won scholarships to MIT, and founded a tech startup that revolutionized AI-driven healthcare. By 30, he was a millionaire, by 35, a billionaire. The Harringtons passed away, leaving him their fortune, but success came at a cost. He dated supermodels, attended galas, and built an empire that spanned continents. The orphanage faded into a distant memory, buried under board meetings and mergers. He lost his ring somewhere along the way, perhaps in a move, or a careless moment. The vow? It dissolved like mist, replaced by the thrill of conquest. Now, at 40, Alexander lived in isolation atop his ivory tower. His mansion was a testament to wealth, crystal chandeliers, imported art, a staff of 20. But loneliness gnawed at him. Divorces from 2 brief marriages left him cynical about love. People are transactions, he'd mutter to his reflection. That's when Elena entered his life, or re-entered, though he didn't know it yet. She applied for the maid position through an agency, her resume sparse, single mother, 38, with experience in housekeeping. Her real name was Elena now, she'd changed it after aging out of the orphanage at 18, hoping for a fresh start. Life had been unkind. Adopted briefly by an abusive family, she ran away at 16, surviving on odd jobs. She married young, to a man who promised stability but delivered heartbreak, addiction, debt, and eventual abandonment. Left with a daughter, Sophia, now 10, Elena scraped by, her worn ring a constant reminder of that childhood promise. It was all she had left of hope. On her first day, Alexander barely glanced at her, barking orders about the pristine floors. But over weeks, subtle interactions built. She'd hum old orphanage tunes while dusting, making him pause. Her laugh echoed like a ghost from his past. One evening, as she served dinner, Sophia tagged along, school holiday. The girl, with her curious eyes, reminded him of Lila. "Your mom's ring is pretty," he said casually, trying to place the nagging familiarity. "It's old," Elena replied softly, twisting it. "From a boy who promised to marry me someday." Alexander's fork clattered. "What boy?" "Just a kid from the orphanage. Long time ago." His world tilted. That night, he dug through old boxes in the attic, unearthing a faded photo from St. Mary's, him and Lila, arms linked, rings shining. The resemblance was undeniable, Elena's eyes, her smile. How had he not seen it? The next morning, as she cleaned his study, he confronted her. "Lila," he whispered, voice cracking. She froze, mop in hand. "How do you?" Then recognition dawned, her face crumpling. "Alex?" They collapsed into chairs, tears flowing. 20 years of pain unraveled. She told him of her struggles, the abusive foster home, the failed marriage, raising Sophia alone on minimum wage. "I waited," she admitted. "For years, I checked the news, hoping you'd come back. But life, it doesn't wait." He confessed his forgetting, the ring lost in ambition. "I built all this," he gestured at the mansion, "but without you, it's empty. That vow, I meant it. I still do." But challenges loomed. Elena was wary, trust shattered by betrayal. "I'm not the girl you remember. I have a daughter, scars." Sophia, overhearing, was confused and excited. "Is he my new dad?" she asked innocently. Alexander faced his own demons, guilt for abandoning the promise, fear of vulnerability. His business partners pressured him, another merger loomed, demanding his focus. "Love is a distraction," one sneered. But seeing Elena's worn ring sparked resolve. He stepped back from the deal, prioritizing what mattered. Resolution came in waves. First, he helped Elena legally, paying off debts, securing Sophia's education. They dated slowly, rebuilding on coffee talks and walks, sharing stories of lost years. Challenges peaked when Elena's ex resurfaced, demanding custody for Sophia out of spite. Alexander hired lawyers, but more importantly, stood by her emotionally. In court, his testimony, about promises kept, swayed the judge. "This man honors vows," the judge noted. Custody secured. 1 year later, under the same starry sky as their childhood vow, Alexander proposed, with a new ring, but keeping the old one as a symbol. "I'll marry you now," he said. Elena said yes, tears mingling with laughter. Their wedding was intimate, in the orphanage's renovated courtyard. Alexander had donated millions to rebuild it. Sophia as flower girl, orphans as guests. Promises may fade, Alexander toasted, but true love echoes back. Today, they run a foundation for foster kids, turning pain into purpose. Alexander's empire thrives, but family first. Elena's ring, no longer worn but cherished, reminds them, fate rewards the faithful. If this story of redemption and enduring love touched your soul, hit that like button, it means the world. And subscribe for more heartwarming tales that prove second chances exist. What's your forgotten promise? Share in the comments below. Until next time, remember, love always finds its way home.